Hey, this is Haplin, and this is a big module. In this module, we're going to be talking about how to acquire clients on the Swag Store offer. The team has put together a ton of resources for you to help you approach local businesses, current clients, past clients, brand new clients, and help them get a Swag Store set up, as well as get your foot in the door to start offering them some of these other high-level services. So let's not waste any time. Let's get straight into it. The first thing I'm going to be going over is the snapshot. We have a whole client acquisition snapshot that's been built for you that I want to make sure you understand the flow of. Now, before I do, just a quick note, we'll need to have some things set up in order to get the most out of this, like an email sending domain, A2P registration so that you can send SMS messages, website DNS setup so that you can actually launch your website live. Some of these nuts and bolts for basic account setup you'll want to make sure you have done. The best place to do that is, of course, your kickoff call. Your kickoff call is the best place to get your hand held through all these steps, make sure that you're doing it the right way, that you're set up properly, and that you're going to have good deliverability on all your messages, etc. That all said, the way to get the most out of this snapshot is to build a new sub account that's going to be dedicated to your own acquisition. Once you do that, similar to the Swag Store snapshot itself, we have a Swag Store client acquisition snapshot. You're going to want to click the link beneath this video and then apply that snapshot to this new sub account. So this is a new sub account with a new system for acquiring clients on the Swag Store offer. Once you have done that, then you'll have something that looks like my screen above. I'm currently in a dedicated sub account called Automated Swag Store Playbook Client Acquisition Snapshot, which is a mouthful. And to start getting the most out of this snapshot, let's start by checking out the website. Head to sites and then websites. You'll have two. There is the Swag Store website template, and then there's the Swag Store demo. The Swag Store demo is actually another store. The way that we find typically works best for selling high-level services is to use the service to sell the service. So in this case, we're trying to pitch local businesses or sell them on the idea, convince them about the need for a swag store, the benefits of a swag store. That is our front-end offer here. We're going to be talking about all the benefits of a swag store, why they should have a swag store, and in that process, we're going to set up our own swag store. But that said, the bulk of the website functionality is going to be found in the main website template, which we'll click on here. Let's check out some of these pages. We have home, sales calendar, onboarding calendar, demo, testimonials, and features. So let's just check out the home page first. So this is a pretty nice home page. You'll want to take a look at all the copy. We've made this video for you. It's totally white labeled, so there's no branding on it. It could be used by anyone to just kind of explain the benefits of this automated swag store offer. And then there's some more content about things going really well and some calls to action for showing people how it works, etc. So that's the main call to action, is show me how it works. It's the same as this see a demo, but before we get into the kind of steps down the funnel toward acquisition, let's just see some of the rest of the normal pages here. We have a features page, more copy, and again, same calls to action below that, and testimonials. If you don't have any testimonials yet, if you're brand new to this, you'll probably just want to hide this tab until you do. Just delete this button altogether, then they won't be able to navigate to the testimonials page. But if you have any existing testimonial content, case study content, videos of you interviewing a client, it doesn't necessarily have to be about the swag store itself. It could just be little snippets of past clients saying they enjoyed working with you, that you did a great job, that they're very happy with the results, etc. Even if it's not specifically for a swag store, it's still totally kosher to add some social proof. So I recommend filling up this page with as much of that as you can. Okay, so that covers it for what I might call the fluff of the page, the home, features, testimonials. It's all great, but it's not functional pushing people toward actually becoming a client. When somebody decides they actually want to take action, they're going to click see a demo and or show me how it works. Fun fact, both of these buttons do the same exact thing. They both take you to the demo page. The demo page is a page that looks like this. First, it invites them to check out the demo store. You'll want to set up this button to point to your actual demo store, which we'll talk about in just a second. After they have entered that store, if they like, they can leave a little bit of information to sign up for the Swag Store Top 10 Bestsellers report. This is what we call a lead magnet. Similar to the 15% off coupon, that's also a lead magnet that we use in the Swag Store setting. This is just a way to entice people to give us their contact information and consent to receive marketing so that we can press forward with trying to get them on the phone and continue the conversation about setting up their swag store. You could also change this to a marketing audit, a discovery call, anything of value that you're going to give away in exchange for them just opting in. But that said, we've built out this top 10 bestsellers report for you in a white labeled fashion. So if you want to just hit the ground running, you can use that right out of the gate. Now let's talk for a minute about your own demo store. This whole mechanism relies on you setting up your own store. You already know how to do all this. I just taught you earlier in the playbook, so you can sign up for Printful and actually get a demo store for your own brand set up. Even if it's just as a demo, it's a really, really powerful principle that we use the feature to sell the feature. So if we want a swag store set up for this local business that we're approaching or this business we're in conversation in, why not show them an actual live demo? So I have included that for us in the form of this demo swag store here. You'll definitely want to customize this, and you don't have to make it fully functional. You could just make it look nice and then say all the products are out of stock or whatever if you wanted to, but this gives them an idea of what it might look like on their site. And I mean, when you think about it, you have all the technology and all the resources to make this store functional. You might even make a few sales. I would recommend making this store functional if you can. Many of you watching this may not have a brand yet, and that's a great opportunity for you to create one. Why not give your agency a brand and have your own swag store? It'll add so much authority, so much perceived value and expertise into your positioning. Really, when you think about it, if you're the local business and you see somebody approaching you about setting up a swag store, and look how easy it is, I did this for myself in 5 minutes. Wow, you can sell a shirt, a cap, a mug. I just have 3 products on here, but it's all branded congruently and it just looks nice. So as you can see in this example, that's currently not functional in the sense that I set all of my products to be currently unavailable. I have them as out of stock. But if I wanted, I could just as easily have this store actually be functional. And then you never know, you might want to get some branded merch for yourself, for your team, if you're ever gonna do like an event, if you're gonna show up at an expo, have a booth somewhere. It's nice to have your own branded swag, and you can just fulfill for yourself buying through Printful. And or if you get into conversations with very serious prospects who want to put you to the test, you can invite them to actually check out. Yeah, it's going to cost them $20 or whatever, but you can have them actually buy a shirt. It comes in the mail. Think of how powerful that is in terms of building trust, building belief that their business could benefit from a swag store as well. So that is the principle of use the feature to sell the feature. The goal here isn't necessarily for you to add a stream of revenue from your own swag store, although it totally could happen. But it is for you to be able to demo the features of the swag store and the benefits of the swag store in a very visceral and tangible way that your prospects are going to relate to, become attracted to, and that's going to build trust in the sales process. But ultimately, as I said earlier, the real goal here is not necessarily for them to buy, it is for them to opt in to receive the lead magnet so we can push them along the sales journey. So let's check out the demo page really quick. In a new tab, if we click on this form here, we can see that it is the lead form. We head over to forms. It's really, really simple. This should be pretty familiar to you already. We just have a basic form, lets people in, and of course, this is going to trigger a workflow. So now's a good time to take a look at those workflows. There is a whole set of back-end automation that we will be using in this snapshot. And I want to make sure you understand exactly what it does. So first of all is new lead. They're all numbered, so this should be very straightforward in terms of understanding the chronological linear path someone takes to become a new client. First, the trigger. It is, of course, the form is lead form. That is what's going to kick off this automation. So every time someone fills out the form, the following things are going to happen. Assign to the user. This is very simple. You'll want to override this and assign it to yourself. Internal notification, it's going to send you an email just letting you know that you have a new lead and link you straight into their contact profile just so that you can check them out. Create or update opportunity. We have 2 opportunity pipelines in here, and I will take a quick detour just to show you what those are. But this should make sense just on the surface. A sales pipeline and the new lead stage. This is the first stage, opportunity sources website. We have the lead value set as $297 here. You can obviously update this for whatever your sales process is. So let's go check out that pipeline really quick. In opportunities, we have, as I said before, two different pipelines, an onboarding pipeline and a sales pipeline. Let's obviously start with sales, new lead, call booked, call attended, and subscribed. Again, all of this is customizable. If you know what you're doing with High Level and you've got a different system that you want to use the Swag Store offer with, do what works for you. Do what you know you're going to be able to gain momentum with and take action with. This is really for the people who've never used High Level before, who need some infrastructure and need a starting place. Same goes for the workflows, for the website, for everything else in this whole snapshot. Use what's helpful and set aside what's not. Just do whatever you need to take action. But okay, let's go back to the automations here. We're going to get into the actual follow-up next. This is going to deliver the actual PDF. It's attached here. And then we're going to get into SMS, and these SMSs are going to be pushing toward a call. That's kind of the next step. Once somebody opts in giving us their information, our next step is to try to get them on a sales call. You could tell that was implied by the pipeline. We had opt-in and then sales call booked. So next we're going to ask them if they're interested, and then we will actually wait to see if they replied. If they don't reply at all, then I think after 1 day, if they haven't replied, then we'll just follow up again to see if they're still interested, and hopefully they will be. If they do reply, then the system will discern if the intent is positive or not. And if it is not positive, then it's just going to internally, it's not going to respond to the message at all. If it's a negative message, it's just going to do an internal notification. So it'll notify you via email and push notification. And these messages just say, hey, Mayday, you have a negative reply. Make sure that you check it out and deal with this in a manual fashion. But if the reply is positive, if they seem like they do want to get on a call, we ask, about a discovery call, see if it's a good fit, sound fair enough. They say yes to that, then we pop the link in here. Now, before I go any further, we're gonna do one more little rabbit trail. That is dealing with custom values. You can see that the link to the calendar is a custom value. It is custom values demo sales calendar URL. That's gonna pull in, just like when we call somebody by their first name, when we have a merge field, it's gonna pull in information from somewhere else in the system. But unlike a contact field or one of the standard fields, this is what we call a custom field. We set this up ourselves in settings. Let me show you where that is right now really fast. Let's go back to workflows. Let's head into our sub account settings, and then we have one aptly named custom values. And in this snapshot, we have 4 custom values set up. It is simply the URL for the sales calendar, onboarding calendar, and then the actual call links. They're called Zoom links. You don't have to be using Zoom. If you use Google Meet or Schedule Once or something else, then use those links. And it's okay if they're the same link, by the way. Many of you will be using the same link for sales and for onboarding. That's totally kosher. For bigger teams, if you have a segmentation, if you have one team doing or department doing sales and another department doing onboarding, then you have the ability to use separate links, but you can also just use the same link for all of it. That said, what's really nice about this whole feature is that now when we put the value in here, so for example, I would just pop back into sites, go to my website, and then we have our store template. If I go to my sales call calendar and I preview or take this link, obviously you'll want to make sure that your website is actually set up and that there's a live URL before you copy this, so you're not just using a preview link, but you're using a real link. But when you go and update this in the custom value, now I just paste this into the value. And what this means is that everywhere around the entire snapshot, wherever this merge field gets referenced, it's automatically going to pull in the value. This is really nice because in the olden days, you would have to go through every single workflow, every single action, every single message, look for the place where we reference a sales calendar link, and you'd have to copy and paste that link in and update it to be your actual calendar link. The way we do it now is you just update this once and it's updated across the system. There are obviously many places in workflows where we're inviting people to click on our calendar link, and so by updating it right here and then using that custom field in the workflow itself, it just saves you a lot of time. And this way, if it ever changes, you can update it really quickly, as opposed to every single time there's a change, you have to go through all of your workflows, etc. So custom values are really, really powerful in helping you customize a snapshot like like this with just a few clicks of a button instead of like an hour of work. So that all said, make sure your custom values are set up properly, then we can continue on reviewing the automation. Once somebody fills out the form, they get their lead magnet, they get their nurturing, we're pushing them toward a sales call calendar. If they never book, they'll never move forward. We can continue to try to reactivate them, get them into an email newsletter, and just continue nurturing them until they do. But once they do, then they'll pop into new sales call, booking, appointment, confirmation, and reminders. This happens when there is an appointment in the sales call calendar. This triggers, it's going to remove them from the nurturing workflow, move their stage in the pipeline to call booked, and then we're going to notify ourselves. It'll notify you, internal notifications, confirmation email. This is all just kind of infrastructure. There's not a lot of special stuff you need to customize in here. I recommend taking a look at this just to make sure you understand the way that it works. But then we get into 24 hours before the appointment. It's going to remind them via email. Then 1 hour before the appointment, we're going to remind them again via email as well as SMS. And then 5 minutes before, we will remind them one more time via email and SMS. And these contain the actual Zoom call link. So remember, we have those custom fields. You'll want to make sure those are updated because in here, we're going to be inviting them to join email as well as SMS, but you'll notice that these links look a little bit different. These say trigger links. They don't say custom values, etc. And that's because we have some special mechanism for this that I want to explain as well. If we click back and into marketing, we have these things called trigger links. So if we go to trigger links, you can see there are 2 links in here that actually themselves reference the custom values. So the link URL references the custom values. So you'll still want to make sure that custom value is updated, but then it's the trigger link that gets pulled into the workflow. So we transform that link into what's called a trigger link. It functions pretty much exactly the same on the lead side. They'll just see a link, hit it, and they'll go into your Zoom call. But the reason why we do this on our end is because this way we're able to really track who's clicking the link and who doesn't and run automations based on that. This becomes really obvious in the next workflow, which is sales call attended. We can actually track who is attending the sales call automatically. So the trigger here is actually firing based on the sales call Zoom link trigger link being clicked. If we didn't have this as a trigger link, we wouldn't be able to use the trigger link as a trigger for the workflow. But since we have now, every time somebody clicks that trigger link, we just update the opportunity one more time. So instead of being just in call booked, once they tap that link, this workflow fires and they move to call attended. This is just a really nifty way to use a little more automation to get even more organization and track who is actually showing up to these calls. So that's really straightforward. And lastly, we have some no-show follow-up, which is when somebody no-shows. This is a status change to no-show. So when you have an appointment in the calendar, over in the calendars section, you'll be able to see a whole list of all your appointments and or see the actual calendar view with a calendar setup just like a Google Calendar. And you will be able to update those statuses to something like canceled, showed, or no-showed, etc. So obviously the no-show workflow triggers when you've updated the status to no-show. So if somebody doesn't show up to a call, just update that status, and now we have another workflow that fires with an email with the follow-up link. This is to try to get them to reschedule, and we send an SMS as well. We wait for a day, and then we send one more. Speaking of which, now is a good time to talk about calendars for a second. If we head back and we go into calendars, this is where you can see the whole calendar interface as well as the appointments in list view. Do whatever makes the most sense to you. But in settings, this is where we can actually control the availability. You will want to do this. Make sure you edit each calendar, go to availability, and set your regular recurring availability. You can also connect an external calendar, which is really helpful if you manage a busy schedule using Google or something else. You can link to an external calendar. You will need to set up a quick integration, which is not too hard. Just click set up your external calendar and this will take you where you need to go. I'll also include a link to a great help doc on calendars and calendar setup just to make sure you have additional resources in getting this feature going, because of course we want to make sure the calendar is dialed in because it's one of the main drivers. It's the main mechanism of us being able to take sales calls and get new clients. Of course, this should almost go without saying at this point, but your kickoff call is another great opportunity to get your calendar set up as well. So get on your kickoff call. They can hold your hand through making sure your calendar is synced up, that you've got Google Calendar integrated or whatever other calendar you're using. But yes, you'll want to make sure that the calendar is looking good. On the page, it is automatically embedded. So if we just take a quick look at the sales calendar page here, you'll notice there's no way to actually navigate to the sales calendar page from your home page. It only sends out after somebody has opted in and has received the lead magnet, and it sends via the nurturing. But that said, it is still a part of your website and it looks just like this. Okay, so once your calendar is set up, you can actually check it out here and make sure that it's showing the proper availability, that it's blocking off certain times when you're busy, etc., etc. So that all said, let's go ahead and wrap up this automations piece because we have a couple other automations, but it's really, really simple. These first four have all related to the different stages of the sales pipeline. So we have new lead, call booked, call attended, and then no-show isn't actually related to a stage, but once you get a sale, then they will move to the last stage, subscribed, and then they also get into the you know what, let's just look at the workflow for new sale. This triggers on order form submission because we have the whole payments platform, obviously, but you don't necessarily have to use the payment system that we've set up. You certainly can go in, make a product for your swag store service, set it to $297 a month, set a trial period, whatever your sales is like, and then create a checkout page where your client actually goes in and puts their credit card information and checks out on your service, and that will trigger this workflow. Or you could just take Venmo, take cash, do whatever you have to do to get your sale made, and then just trigger this workflow manually. It really doesn't matter. But once this workflow fires, when you get a new client, it's going to move them in the sales pipeline over to the subscribe stage and update their status to 1. And then it's going to create a new opportunity in the second pipeline. So we have a whole separate pipeline for onboarding, and the first stage is new client. So when they become a new client, this marks the first step in their onboarding journey. The rest of this actually mirrors the sales pipeline. So if you understand the sales pipeline, you also understand all of the automation associated with the onboarding pipeline. We notify ourselves, just in case they checked out on a page or weren't talking to us, maybe they were talking to a sales rep or whatever, we can still notify ourselves internally, sends them a welcome email, pushes them to get their onboarding call booked. I recommend, if you're on a sales call, just booking the onboarding call before you even hang up, because it's so important to retention that you do a good job onboarding your clients. But on the off chance you miss that, the workflow makes sure that they see the onboarding link and pushes them toward booking as fast as possible. Reminds them about it after a day, again pushing them toward that link, and then reminds them again after another day, and then sends an SMS. And if they book, once they do book their onboarding, they're automatically going to be taken out of this automation. And so that's why if the automation is still going, it presumes that it's getting more and more dire. So it's going to continue following up with them, making sure that they get their eyes on that link and that they have the opportunity to book. And then it's actually going to notify you again saying, Mayday, they haven't booked their call, and that you need to call them ASAP via email, push, and SMS. And then the rest of this goes exactly the same. We have the call booking appointment confirmation or reminder, works exactly the same as this. It's just on the onboarding calendar instead of the sales calendar. No show, same thing, it's just the onboarding, and then call attended, same thing as sale. And voila, that is the client acquisition snapshot in a nutshell. I know I just kind of raced through that, but let's just recap really fast. You have your website with beautiful assets that we've made for you to help you position the Swag Store offer. You have the demo Swag Store that you're going to build based on our template that will continue to bolster the image of the swag store, continue to more effectively communicate the power and benefits of a swag store. You have the lead opting in to receive their free report on the top 10 best-selling swag store items that we have created for you. That gets them into lead nurturing, pushes them toward a sales calendar where they will book a discovery call, aka a sales call, to further talk about the benefits of a swag store. And then, I don't know, my hand is facing this way, they will get on that call and be closed, at which point they'll be added to the whole onboarding pipeline, which will make sure that they get on an onboarding call so that you can actually start taking steps toward getting their swag store set up. So that is the whole flow, the whole sales journey that is reflected in the pipelines. If you need to review any of that at any time, just click on opportunities and check out the sales pipeline. That's the way it goes. It's new lead, call booked, call attended, new sale. That said, let's talk about the things you'll want to make sure that you do in order to get this all ready to launch. First of all, you'll want to make sure that you have a sub account with the snapshot applied. You'll want to make sure that is empowered to send out branded emails as well as SMS. You'll want to make sure your website is set up on a live domain so that it is actually on a live URL, that you have a real URL that you can send out to prospects for your homepage, as well as updating the URL fields inside of your custom values. That is critical. If you want your email to say, here's the sales link, and then for there actually to be a link, you'll want to make sure that you put that link into the custom value field in settings. Do this with your sales page, your onboarding page, as well as your sales call Zoom link itself and the onboarding Zoom call link itself. Next, you'll want to make sure that your calendar is set up, both for sales and for onboarding. You have two separate calendars there. You can integrate with Google Calendar or Outlook or iCal or a third-party calendar that you use to make sure that your busy schedule is automatically synced up and that times are automatically blocked off so that you're not ever double booked. But that is such a critical piece, making sure that your sales calendar is set up and accurately reflects your availability. For you to miss a sales call or for you to miss a sale because you couldn't even make your own call, that would be the most tragic. Once you've done all those setup steps, I highly recommend that you and or a loved one or a friend, you have somebody go through this as a test lead. Have them click on your website, look at the copy, see if there's any typos. If you've gone through and customized some of that copy, you may have made some errors. So do a scrub of all of that, each of your pages. Watch through the video, go through the demo process, check out your store, opt in to receive that free report. Check out the report itself, make sure the verbiage of each of the workflows is congruent. You'll want to actually book a sales call to make sure that automation's working and that you understand how each of these workflows play off each other. Once you've had the chance to test out all of your automation and make sure that your whole system is working, then you'll be good to go. You can start sharing your homepage link with interested prospects. That sort of begs the question, how do you get prospects interested in the first place, which we also have addressed for you. Beneath this video, you will find linked in the resources section, we have prospecting scripts. These are great starting places for just kind of figuring out the verbiage of what you might send to somebody in order to generate interest. So you'll approach a local business who you think might reasonably benefit from having a swag store, and you can hit them with a message that is similar to the ones we've provided for you. We have 3 days worth of messages in there, and it's all just to say we're not necessarily the masters at this stuff. We just want to give you a good starting place. So if you're confident in your prospecting, if you have a lot of experience doing this, then go with what you know works. But we wanted to make sure that we have something to arm the beginners with. Similarly, we have a sales script to provide you with a loose framework that you can use to set up these discovery calls that you're going to be running. If you're a beginner and you haven't done a lot of sales before, then your heart might have stopped when you realize there's an actual calendar where you're actually going to get on the phone and be closing people on this. This is a hard thing to do. If you have a lot of experience, then of course do what you know works. You should be able to just run with this offer that basically positions and sells itself. But if you're brand new to this, definitely use our sales script as a starting place. It's less of a script and more just like a general framework for how these calls should go. And that sort of brings us to the end of this module. Wow, it has been a marathon. We got through a lot. There was a lot to cover. I want to plug just one more time to get on your kickoff call to get your hand held through some of these steps. The folks on our team can help you with some of these pieces, the basic account setup stuff, making sure your account is ready, the snapshot is applied, that you're able to get your calendar set up, your website launched, etc. But the very last thing that I am going to end the module with here It's just a word of advice. Do not let anything that I have gone over in this video paralyze you. These assets that we have created for you are meant to help you build momentum and hit the ground running, and to help you build confidence in approaching local businesses with your swag store offer. They are to help you move faster along the path toward getting your first client. But I have seen it happen countless times where somebody just like you watching this video gets their hands on all these wonderful assets and they get overwhelmed by it. They end up just getting paralyzed and they get stuck and they never take action at all. Or maybe they take a bit of action but get a little caught up on some of the technical pieces and then end up getting sidetracked. They get what we call shiny object syndrome. They end up just kind of moving on, losing a bit of belief, losing momentum, and never getting around to actually having the conversation. Contrast that with somebody who understands the power of the offer, has a business in mind that they think will benefit from an automated swag store, as well as some of the other high-level strategies that we've been over. They maybe watched 5 minutes of this video before deciding it's all too complicated for me, I'm never actually going to do any of that, but I don't need that. They just pick up their phone, dial that business, and start talking about the automated swag store offer. That is the person who is going to succeed whether or not they onboard that specific client, taking the action towards starting conversations with local businesses who will benefit from an automated swag store is the fastest path to success. So if you, the person watching this video right now, have someone in mind that you're connected to, maybe an in-law, maybe a friend of a friend who has a local business, then you have reasonable belief that that business would benefit from having an automated swag store. They haven't done any retail, but they've got great fans, they've got a great brand, they should have a swag store. I recommend just approaching that person directly. Ask them point blank if they've ever thought about doing retail, and then just have an honest discussion about the benefits and the value proposition of this automated swag store strategy. Offer to set your first client up for free just so that you can get experience, get your wheels turning, get a sub account made. Get them some good results and then turn them into a case study video that you add to your testimonials page that will help you get your second client. There is so much action that you can take in tandem with getting all these assets set up, or even disregarding these assets altogether. That action taking is the deal breaker in terms of what we see defining people who succeed. Having the clarity of vision and the determination to actually walk down that path is exponentially more valuable than the most fancy client acquisition system that I possibly could have built. That said, this client acquisition system is very powerful, and high level can be a very powerful tool in helping you get clients, whether it's on this swag store offer or on a different digital services offer. I highly recommend that you utilize it to the extent that it serves your ultimate purpose, which is building momentum down the path to success. That's all for this module. You can go ahead and move on.